stuff, right? Well, he can do that as a 3 now.
Yes.
Like a 3 is a really vital part of it. Almost like the 3-4 combo now is the most important in the game, right? Well, you've given him that responsibility. He should shine, right?
Yeah, I do think so.
Yeah, as long as the meta doesn't change in any way, and we don't start, because like the way EG's running it right now is that they're kind of running like two different kind of farming cores. And, like one of them will play a little bit more space creative. For example, the PL that they kept picking up, right? Like sometimes they would run that as sort of like the 2 position for fear. And so as long as the meta doesn't change away from that, right? Insumail can still play some scaling type 3 position heroes, like aggressive but still kind of scales. Like this is all fine, well and good. As long as the meta doesn't turn away from that, and we
just go back to mid when it does.
we start going to like
has to stay aggressive though. I think that's like that's what we always talk about too. Has to be aggressive heroes.
All right, our draft, as you can see, is underway. We've just got a couple of early bans between VGJ.Thunder and Vici Gaming, part of the same household. I guess you could call them sister teams or brother teams, whatever you want to call it. But they are going head to head for a place in the upper bracket in their particular group.
I think we're going to have to get used to seeing very similar bans across most teams, to be honest, in the first 3. I think it's going to be a lot of these supports, just like we mentioned. This Bane, this Omnia's a little different, but
it's going to change up just like very slightly based on like this team playing Elder Titan, like some of the newer additions, I would say, like some of the supports. Like Elder Titan is rising in popularity, Naga Siren is like rising in popularity, I would say. I mean, like, do they play a Kunkka or something like that?
Yeah, ET is definitely one of the ones that's going to be contested quite a lot. We feel from a lot of these teams. Almost all of the 4s are playing ET. So
why are they going to ban it? That's like my favorite hero right now. I mean, sure, people like, no, I just been spamming that hero, but I just feel like the hero does so much for you.
I ran into Fug a couple times, and he was spamming that definitely before it was popular, and he was on that train nice and early. He was telling me like ET is super strong, and I agreed with him because he was so obnoxious. Yeah, I mean, like ET playing into ET, because it's all about team fights right now. Playing against an ET is like super annoying.
See, that's like exactly what it is. Like I'm like, okay, laning phase, this hero, if you abuse like the spirit and stuff, super strong. I don't want to go too much onto the hero, but it's all about you get vision. You get vision from your spirit. You're this team fight dominator. So
like everyone is used to like an ogre running up and like igniting you and like kind of punching you, but you never feel in danger. And ET rolls up, he's hitting you for 150 damage a hit. You're like, what's happening? What's going on?
Okay. All right. Early Night Stalker for VGJ.
The big supports are banned though. The Tusk, Bane, Naga, and Elder Titan, the ones we were talking about. And Lycan, an absurd hero that we have been seeing.
I'm surprised they didn't just take that ET.
It's banned.
Oh, it was banned.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, so a little bit of adjustment coming out since like all the others are banned.
Yeah, his third most played is Night Stalker, so not a surprise. He's usually picking from Tusk, ET, and Night Stalker.
I wonder how that hero's. I feel like that hero's kind of like fallen off a bit. People haven't been picking it, but it's also because of the.
Night Stalker has?
Yeah,
it has fallen out of favor, isn't it?
I think it's also because of that fear, right? If you pick Night Stalker, people pick Lycan, and then you're like, oh my god.
He was he was nerfed a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
In D.
I don't know about a
tiny bit, I think,
maybe
from memory.
I really like Night Stalker, and I feel like I feel very ineffective sometimes as the hero. I think it has like really large swings, particularly since we're running so many tanky cores that Night Stalker can't threaten you in that really critical period of time, right? The 4 to 8 minutes, and then the 12 to 16 minutes is kind of going into teamfight territory.
Yeah.
So you really need to, as a 4 position, be able to do so much in that 4 to 8 minute window where it's darkness, but these cores just don't die to you. It's like a really big problem. Like I can't go up and like gank a Dragonite very easily in the mid lane. So I think that's a big part of the problem, and Vici Gaming I think addressed this very well. They're not going to be able to pick up like Puck or something like that because of the Night Stalker, so instead they get a core like Tidehunter who doesn't care about Night Stalker at all, and they also get probably one of the better supports to beat out Tidehunter.
That's one of the approaches people have been doing a lot versus Night Stalker, right? Just like, all right, we see this hero, our lanes, we just have to pick some decently strong lanes and then just some really hard mid-game team fight, and then we group up, and this Night Stalker just becomes extremely useless if they don't split up the map properly.
And do you feel like because it used to always be the argument like, oh, this hero will also snowball into the late game because it has this big vision advantage. But even then, we started seeing Night Stalkers like not going Aghanim Scepters, they started going more right-click builds. builds, and in general, I just feel like the vision is just less effective. I'm not sure what it is about it, but I feel like nighttime vision, maybe it's just the way the teams like just avoid team fights so heavily during nighttime or something, but I just feel like that advantage just isn't there anymore.
It feels like you have to do so much, and yeah, this is I was going to point it out. The 100 in the night attack speed got rescaled, so it's the same as it is later on, but in the first few levels, it's a lot weaker. But I feel like a lot of things that happen with the Night Stalker is if you're a 4, a lot of times you want to have someone who can push lanes as a 4 now.
Yeah.
And Night Stalker doesn't do that at all. So he really struggles at that, and then what ends up happening is you struggle to defend your towers. You lose a couple towers. It doesn't really matter if you have darkness for vision, right? Your map gets already limited so much just because of losing that map control.
Which is where you may have to think about like your 5 position being able to give you that kind of wave clear, but I don't think Wyvern is a particularly worthy pickup here.
I think is Shaman being ignored a lot? Because I think versus Tide as well, Hex, you can't dispel Hex with Kraken.
I was going to bring up the Shaman because it's always been quite popular. Even like when China was playing it, no one else was playing it.
Yeah.
But China was still playing it. Now it's become a little bit more popular.
He gives you what you would lack from the Night Stalker too. He gives you some more control. The Night Stalker has a silence and a slow, but he doesn't have control at all. This hero gives you both. Gives you late wave push. Gives you tower push as well. I think it would be a pretty good option for Thunder.
What about the Razor?
Just a good counterpick to Tide Hunter.
Yeah.
Like there is so many ways that you can run Razor against these offlaners. If they're picked up in the first one too, you're just like, okay, like now need to change the lane phase. They do not want to have this matchup, but at the same time, like you're forcing yourself into potential to. Yeah, he's literally sitting like,
they're gonna ban his Elder Titan, they're gonna ban his other hero, and then boom, he picks up his Kunkka. That's like literally what we were talking about before, how they can make those adjustments. But I think what you were mentioning, Cap, is exactly what's going to happen. Vici's going to have to do some musical lanes. They're going to have to just scout the lanes out, get some nice matchups. They don't want this Tide versus Razor. But this is more team fight now for Vici too, and some extra catch as well versus this Night Stalker.
It also means Lanham's played 7 heroes now in the last 3 months.
He didn't play Kunkka at all in the last 3 months.
Well, not in the last patch.
In the last patch.
707.
Oh, okay.
Got 707.
Interesting.
I mean, we're in D now, so technically it's whatever, but.
So do they want to grab that support here? That's what my guess would be.
I think you do, because I think you still you need to keep your offlaner out of the pool still.
And hide where Razors.
Yeah, I think the worst thing that could happen.
The Shaman here.
I think the Shaman. It's that or Disruptor, right?
Yeah. Or something crazy like a Bane. I was thinking, but that's gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's still a little questionable just because of the fact that I think Kunkka's pretty good against it, and if you potentially get some sort of aggro situation,
a little bit more normal for AI.
That'll help them get some more team fight. With the Rubik, the no field's decent versus Kunkka and Tide. And he's good. Of course, he has great steals here, and then he gets the wave clear.
Yeah.
Good versus with Razor too. Because
Rubik's even better with the wave clear, right? Because you can turn on the offensive aura.
Yeah. And if you steal something. Yeah.
How does the bat fit into? No, I can't. Can it? I can't see the bands. Really.
Which one do you mean? There's PL Terrorblade, the last 2 by Thunder, and then it's OD Tiny by Vici. So they grab a Luna. This is more group up, take those buildings.
Oh, you know what I really like here is Abaddon.
Ooh, Abaluna.
He deals really well with both Luna and Tide in a teamfight perspective, because you can't really be controlled. You're soaking up a lot of damage. And I think anything that makes the Razor stronger here is just potential game winning.
Oh boy. Deuce of Razor. Is Deuce going to get enough time in this game though? I think Vici's going to take a lot of buildings here pretty quickly with this type of lineup.
At the same time, you're not going to be able to, unless it was like maybe Tinker. There's not too many other mids that are going to be able to protect your towers, right? You need a hero that kind of is going to be able to sit in front of these pushes, and you're not going to get it off your offlaner in this game, not very easily, because the Tide's just kind of like the be-all, end-all of those heroes.
What is Rubik still here for that helps VGJ? With Rubik?
He can get Ravage, bo1, Cask is decent for fights.
Quite a lot, isn't it? Quite a lot.
Yeah, this is a pretty solid. This is a pretty solid Rubik game.
Yeah.
Like even like Torrent, Lucent Beam, all these like extra nukes, these double nukes. When you can like as a Rubik, when you can do the triple nuke combo, you use both your spells, steal another in a team fight. It actually is a lot of.
I think Brew or bad for VGJ.Thunder.
Gone, isn't it?
Is it bad?
No, it's not.
No. My eyesight's terrible.
That's okay.
Don't worry, you don't have glue smeared across your glasses.
Yeah, I'm the only one with decent eyesight here.
Yeah, it's not that much. I got most of that glue.
It's all right. Yeah.
I actually did.
We should explain to people at home. You crushed your.
I didn't crush. I was just like adjusting my glasses and they broke in half. It was Nox's fault, to be honest.
You're so strong. You have superhuman strength, like Clark Kent level strength, that you actually broke your own glasses.
I barely even moved them, and it just snapped in half. And I
for all that superhuman strength, you still won't go to the gym with those.
All right. Anyway, so they ban out Templars. They tried to make me go earlier, and I bailed.
They tried to force you.
I bailed.
Oh, you're such a slacker.
I really am.
You're like the Medusa of the game.
What do you like for the offlane?
For Thunder here?
Yeah.
I quite like the Underlord.
Oh, the Underlord versus Luna.
I
forgot about that.
Yeah.
They want a deep push, is what that tells me.
Yeah.
They really want deep push to be able to deal with Vici, to be able to stall out the game for this Dusa.
I think Underlord is probably one of the best offlaners against Luna as well.
Yeah.
Good percentage-based damage against Tide Owner. It's kind of annoying.
The team fight is pretty damn minimal on Thunder still.
Yeah, I still think they're going to get run over by Vici Gaming.
I do
and
too.
I haven't even seen the last pick.
I'm on board with you.
Where do we go then? Last pick.
I don't know, get OD or something.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can actually get
That's
kind of
bad.
a scaling
That is
core.
bad.
No, you're right.
Terrible.
Or Tinker.
Tinker, yeah, that was the other one I was thinking before.
It's like it's the Tinker OD last picks, and is like such a trend right now because they're like a Terra played 4th pick or something you have to deal with.
And they have to pick Conka. So we've got Tinker.
Oh no!
X that Conka. He's got no risk. Now you can blink in aggressively, get your spells off, and he X's you back in the fights, even in like mid game too. It is very, very powerful combo if they're able to utilize it. So for me, I'm also gonna go with Cap. I'm definitely with the Vici train. I think their 5-man's really strong to deal with that Night Stalker. I don't think Deuce is gonna have time to get online.
It's amazing what a last pick can do.
You mean the way that Thunder picked Underlord and we're not happy with it? Yes, you are correct.
Ruined their complete draft from one pick. Right, it's time to head over to our commentary team for game number 2. It is the battle of the Vicis. Who's coming out on top? Let's find out.
Thanks very much, Red Eye. Yes, indeed. I'm ODPixel. I'm here with Trent. We're ready for this bit of action coming up between the Vicis, as you say.
Yes.
And I'm excited to see these two. So we've got two teams that recently they've had, their own sort of relatively good showings at.
Yeah, they look good, right? Vici Gaming almost won Captain's Draft. Extremely close. A little bit of a shocker. You can almost say that they lost that series 4-1. Really felt like they're going to beat Secret. And then VGJ.Thunder did successfully take Galaxy Battles against EG, which was impressive. I don't think going into that series, because EG just 2-0'd them before in the bracket, and then they've come back and play them again, and they just sweep them like that. You're like, okay, these guys, they know some stuff. So, I don't know. I'm not sure who will come out. We should say that, VG Junior. So, theoretically, VG should be, kind of cracking the whip here. Be like, this is the junior team.
It always feels weird, doesn't it, when the team that's not sort of the adult team of the organization doesn't win. So, well, we'll see. The hero picks, of course, that we've had. Anything that sort of surprised you from the draft between these two teams?
I guess it kind of felt like maybe there was an opportunity for VGJ.Thunder to perhaps go a little bit quicker near the end of the draft, maybe. But we'll see as we settle on in. I'm looking forward to the Underlord, see how he does. Felt like they needed some wave clear, so that looked pretty good. Should help them kind of keep control of that game. VGJ.Thunder, I thought one of the best things that they were able to do during that grand final against EG was the movements during the map. Like when everyone's in fog and you have that guessing game of just like you're smoking and then like, okay, I think they're smoking, let's get back in our base, and then you try to do the same movement. They were trading completely one-on-one with EG, like always reading that exact very nice movement, which is an impressive thing to see in a team that we don't obviously haven't seen too much success with here. So we'll see if they get that kind of same good reads of the map throughout this one.
There we go, as we get ourselves into the action at this best of one. VGJ.Thunder up against Vici Gaming themselves. We'll see if we see anything surprising coming out from the lanes. I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy, are we? As you said yourself, you know, VGJ.Thunder having sort of a very sort of reserved lineup, a lineup that can stall the game, look to take it late, potentially with the Deucer, and Vici Gaming themselves maybe wanting to speed things up a little bit. Tinker coming through as the final pick as well.
And it's not too all in, because they have the Tinker. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they themselves can certainly keep the game going. I mean, if the game does end up going and going, is there... And you've got this sort of Luna versus Medusa. Do you think there's someone that's a little bit happier in sort of that later game position?
It's hard to tell, right? Because Luna definitely takes the buildings faster. Yeah. So that is one thing, that if you win that really important fight, especially with Ravage, that can always be one of those key abilities that you just dominate. You know, like 3 heroes go down, get this great setup, maybe the cask starts to bounce and the ghost ships come flying through. And if everyone's dead on the side of VGJ.Thunder, you can just lose the Ravage instantly because of paparazzi here on the Luna.
Looking for the runes here, trying to maintain control, and DJ Young Lemon at the moment will be alone on that bottom lane on the Tide, trying to deal with this Rubik and Razor that's going to head down to there. And I mean, with the Rubik and Razor, the Tide surely he's got to be careful down there. This is a lane where he can certainly take quite a bit of a punch.
Definitely got a little bit of the musical lanes. Everyone's trying to scout out. You can see that pretty deep observer ward there from the Rating 2 up top. So they're just kind of spotting exactly who's going to be where and trying to get the matchups that they wanted. And overall, it looks good for them. Underlord should be relatively okay. They're going to pressure him early as much as possible. Hasn't even taken like the attribute or anything quite yet either. So no reduced damage here from those harassers.
So they are going to bring a third hero up here as well, Lanham, as they do look to proceed onto Yang. The two of them running down at the moment. Has got the first point in X mark to try and have that extra bit of control, dragging him back, but not really had too much to follow him up for. They have the paralyzing cask, and they do try and time it nicely so it gets the multiple bounces off the creep, but indeed not quite enough damage to bring down even a level 1 Underlord. Very tanky.
Oh yes, and Knoxville here bringing out a classic combo, the Kunkka and Tinker.
That was some, I remember seeing that loads of NA games. Like there were NA teams that were doing the whole, you just sit and base as the Kunkka. That is your life, and you protect the Tinker every time. We'll see if it does get to that point. There could be a period of the game where we do sort of see Lanham just AFK in the fountain, going for the strat.
But I mean, if there's anyone on Kunkka who I don't want to do that, it's got to be Lanham.
Like,
you know, he's probably the most noteworthy
giving him that position. I mean, I'll be a bit dumbfounded if they do that. I imagine he's going to keep himself active on that bottom lane, as we were expecting to see. You know, they have got this control with the static link. It does allow the right click to build up, but at the same time, it's got the smash. You can
level 1 on the link too. It can be a little bit tough, but it's all about the harass. They burned a ton of the regen in the Underlord. He's definitely unhappy up there, and then they're just trying to do the same thing to the Tide Hunter at bottom. Yang only left with 2 tangos here.
Bounty!
Oh, looks like Young 11 did snag that bounty rune though, so AO.
He'll get his in return. Young 11 will find the Arcane Rune though, by the looks of it. We'll see if he's able to stick around and keep harassing. Does have a couple of tangos left to continue to regen back up. He'll stick around down towards bottom. CS at the moment, got the Razor, take the lead, 13 for 6. Paparazzi on the Luna just slightly behind, 10 for 5. And the mid lane matchup at the moment,
not going too hot.
Yeah.
It's okay, Tinker's starting to climb back a little bit there though. We saw the supports were starting to rotate in, but they didn't end up going, so. But yeah, level 4, gets his wave into the tower now, so see how Ori does this game here.
If they get any chance to press that Tinker early, he's trying to slow down his boost of travel pickup. Is of course going to make the game a lot easier for VGJ.Thunder.
I like when Sylar has been playing like this Dragon Knight. I found that has been probably his best hero. It was banned out of this game.
Classic, yeah.
But one thing that is nice about it is that in terms of being like a veteran on this team compared to a lot of the other players, it's kind of cool that he's able to lead a lot with that Dragon Knight. You know, he gets that really Shadow Blade, he sets up a lot of the different fights and everything throughout that whole mid game. It won't be able to do that on the Medusa, so someone else have to be more of a, stepping up into those initiating roles here.
Well, they come up here again, VG, they do have their sort of the full tri lane trying to go on Yang, but it's a very hard kill to go for. As soon as any sort of backup comes in, they have to back away. Bottom lane though, it's going to be where VGJ.Thunder find the better charge. Young 11, the actual own creep there by the blocking the vision, but they do finally manage to get themselves round the corner, get the first blood for the Razor. Top lane at the same time though, the trade will be found as Tide is taken out. So both off laners to fall.
Young 11 almost delayed that enough that Yang would have been the first blood. That would have been pretty amazing, actually. But not quite. So
purely intentional play, I'm sure. Blocking himself behind the enemy creep. And there we go. Looking for that 4-minute rune.
Yeah, finally nighttime here for Fade as well. But much like earlier on, we had that bounty hunter from Secret. Didn't see a lot of success in the earliest parts of the game because he was against like it was like an ogre and an elder titan. This game, the Kunkka, very similar, pretty tanky guy to try and harass down. And I guess the Witch Doctor would be his best target. But traditionally, teams have often picked this Witch Doctor against the Night Stalker. Feels pretty safe. Has the heal. He can throw the cask down if you're trying to dive the tower, and that could be disastrous for Night Stalker +1 trying to use that early aggression. So hopefully we'll see if they can actually get a kill onto that Luna, try and buff up this Night Stalker a little bit, perhaps pressure the Tinker a bit more. He's got some work to do here in these 4 minutes.
We'll see where Fade does indeed head. Maybe hoping for an attempt on the tide once again. If he was to come out a little too far, but he's playing it safe, keeping it back. Lanham.
I like that too.
Sitting behind the Tinker.
Yeah, he understands, right? Night Stalker, if there's anyone he wants to kill, it's this guy. So I'm just going to camp here a little bit. We don't have a very good kill potential on Sylar, but it's not like I have so much value to add anywhere else anyway.
There we go. We're looking for a bit of an aggressive move onto Young 11 here as they're ready to dive forward. They've got the grab. Not going to commit,
was on CD, I think, too. Yeah. He had just used it on Young 11, so ends up just being a harassing play.
A little awkward, that. Maybe a bit of miscommunication. Didn't realise that they didn't have that link available. Once again, top lane, Maledict. He's going to do a lot here to Yang. Paparazzi diving in, trying to make sure he has enough damage for the procs of the Maledict to kill him. He's got the stick charges, and that will mean that Yang does survive. Bottom lane again, Karma in a very awkward position as they did come in deep for a dive. Lanham turns up. With that VGJ.Thunder will have to maneuver themselves back away from that tower. So, all in all, both teams trying for these aggressive plays, but proving hard to actually get away with the kill itself, as we do still sit at the 1-1 market, coming up to the 6-minute mark.
Yeah, it feels like the supports are going to be very underleveled this game. I don't think anyone has cracked into 4 yet from the supported cast here, and Fade's actually still stuck at 2.5 as well, so it'll be interesting to see just how much they can actually get done. 6-minute bounty run will be still, but I mean, this is the way you got to get experience, right? You have all these tanky laners that are so hard to be ganked, so you got to get all these bounty runes, and he'll pay for it this time.
A nice little bit of a bounty kill for Ori to pick up, taking down the Rubik. Help him on that way to that key crucial boost of travel timing. Yang in the jungle, he's been found out. The Maledict's on him, but he was already pretty low, so not a lot of damage being done at all by the Maledict. So we'll get him away from the camp that he was trying to farm up. Will be pinged out, of course. Maybe Vici Gaming will be able to head over there at some point and take it. Good few ways of clearing out some of these stack camps.
Yeah, could use some stacks here for Ori. 3 points in the March now, so definitely looking to start accelerating here, and that'll be our battle of this game. The Tinker and the Medusa.
It definitely could. Long one.
In that sense, though, in terms of like stack management and everything, certainly an advantage to Vici, where they have the Luna and the Tinker to abuse that. On the side of VGJ.Thunder, you know, Razor, he farms pretty quick. He can definitely contest ancient stacks too very well with his ultimate, even early on in the game. We saw that a lot, just like last year when Razor was being more popular. So we'll see if they actually get some good vision on those ancient stacks, perhaps, and get something done there. But for now, we're just chilling. Everyone's just hanging out. You know, down 11, he's just farming a camp. He's got nothing else to do with his life. Fade's very unsuccessful for a first nighttime as a Night Stalker. But that's kind of the story of this hero now, ever since the nerfs to Hunter of the Night.
Here we go though, down bottom, another attempt onto Young 11. They have the ultimate here from Kama. They continue to chase down, and that should provide enough damage. Indeed it does to take the kill. At the same time though, top lane Lanham has the torrent set up onto Sylar. They're trying to move the Luna in for the ultimate. The paralyzing cast as well, getting a good few bounces. They have the X mark to drag Sylar back in under the cover of the Eclipse, and Sylar will be taken down. Fade now back to Baio as VGJ.Thunder look for the reaction. Torrent holds back both of them. Karma's been brought in as well. They're looking to try and find something in return for losing their carry, and should find Lanham here. They chase him down with the static link. They'll look to try and X back Fade, but already the damage is done, and Karma will get the kill. So again, these rotations, VG themselves, they're a little happier with the situation as they do manage to bring down Sylar and they keep Paparazzi alive.
Yeah, he's on a spree now on that Razor too, so he's just cracking up over 3,800 net worth. A rich little lad there, so very happy for the side of VGJ.Thunder. You need down this Razor too, because you know they want to roam as forward, they want to make stuff happen, try and put some pressure on the map, give more space to the Medusa, and that's the kind of start that he's going to need on that hero. And it's already begun there. You can see Ori in the jungle doing his stacks there over on the mini-map. But they'll try and pressure into Paparazzi here after not getting that kill. Should they'd love to kind of keep it up on him there.
Young 11 is coming in with some heavy harass on Sylar, taunting and all. But to be a little careful, Fade is there. As you say, the night is over, his daytime limited. Ways that Fade could do much about this tide.
Desperately hoping for some experience. I mean, typically as like support players, your goal is to get both supports 6 at level 10. That's like the dream. And it definitely still happens. You know, one support kind of gets there on their own through ganks and everything, and the second support just buys the tome. But this game, everyone is just a little bit behind here.
Nice little duke there from Kama as the torrent attempt was made, but he's able to duke it out. They now look to turn on to Ben Ripper. The barrel dick down the paralyzing cast is already out. Bounces between the three of them quite perfectly, but they don't have the follow-up control or quite enough damage. Paparazzi was silent, so couldn't really get the Lucent Beam off early enough. So VGJ getting themselves away once again, as both teams are proving to be relatively durable with their picks. So it's very hard for these rotations to really come to a success unless one of the other sides overcommits at this stage of the game.
Yeah, just a very relaxed game. I mean, that was kind of, even looking at the draft, you're just kind of thinking things like, okay, what's going to happen when like X hero hits 6? You know, there's not really one of those big action heroes. One of the last banned heroes was the Bat Rider. You know, someone who could have maybe started getting things moving. Let's see the Blink Dagger. But Landon, now he's getting some levels up the X. You can see level 3 there. Quite a bit of range here for ganks like this to help accelerate Ori.
Now, perfect sort of chance to attempt for this. Io will try and turn with the hold, but March Machines is already out. Brings the Rubik down. So VG at least able to punish that Rubik, looking for that XP that you're talking about in that mid lane. Will be knocked out for a few seconds. Sylar indeed, third highest on the most pro Medusa games. So it's a pretty impressive, especially considering the amount of pros that have been picking up the Medusa in the sort of recent patches. Definitely a carry that's become top material.
Well, hopefully that means that his team's going to be ready to get those stacks rolling for him. I can see at least one agent stack ready for him there. Looks like they'll be able to get a few more rocking as well. Fenrir, you're trying to get those desperately needed levels. This tends to be where supports just kind of randomly die. But if you die, you're like, well, you know, whatever. They had to rotate like 3 heroes. I was just trying to get some experience. Still also no real tower damage going on the map. Again, I guess just kind of expected here, and we will see a smoke up here in the mid lane from those Radiant heroes, so they're going to be wandering around trying to find somebody on the Dire to finally up some of these kill counts, man. 7 kills in 11 minutes, you know.
So, as you say, just a relaxed beginning. Ori on the Tinker, he has now got the boots to travel done, so 11 minutes, that's absolutely fine timing for him. None of the cores really getting too left behind, as you can see on the net worth. Everyone pretty much neck and neck, and the 2 carries breaking slightly away. Sylar with a slight lead.
Oh, look at this. He's coming up top 2 in the Tinker. See if they can make any sort of a catch happen. Still a very difficult one to grab, obviously.
They have put the root. Quite some time for Kama to close the gap, get the standing link off. 2 heroes moving in, they'll make a go for it. The TP out will be made from Yang. They know that they have to bail out. Can they get a Tinker kill in time? They can. They'll get the kill. Oh no. Get themselves out, but Rubik, he gets left behind. He's out of range.
He still has the TP.
There's a chance. He may still be okay. He goes straight up for the TP out, but anchor smash. The range is just enough as Young 11 is able to get him in the AoE. So they get the Rubik, but again, strong plays from VGJ.Thunder. They dive, they get the Tinker kill. They also manage to get that middle tower as well.
Oh, but in the bottom lane at the same time, it looks like Luna was put on some serious pressure. Paparazzi cleaned up that tower, pushed the wave almost to the tier 2.
It's true. I mean, it's a close game. It really feels like everything's been traded perfectly there. So everything is happening vice versa between the 2 sides. It's still yet to see a clean breakaway and break ahead from one of these teams. As, understandably, they almost certainly know each other very well. And you can imagine these teams, not only professional but also private scrims, probably play
definitely.
each other. And just sort of the names of these players, the teams that they've been in the past, and the massive sort of different collaborations of players that we've had in the Chinese scene. You know that these guys know each other incredibly well.
Yeah, it's got to be one of the biggest benefits, right, of having these kind of like orgs like this. You just scrim each other all the time. Much easier to organize that kind of stuff. I'll say for Ori this game, it's going to be harder for him to do any sort of like combat Tinker stuff. There's no real nice TP target in this game unless someone wants to go like Helm the Dominator or something like that. You don't have that, that Beastmaster or something like that used to help you out. Maybe the Lone Druid, Brewlings from a Brewmaster. All of those kind of tactics have been used by teams in the past to try and accelerate that Tinker from something other than just stacks of camps or from reactionary TPs. It's much harder to make it work off of a wave. Oh, wow, they actually got that in time? That's like 3 heroes.
Oh, that was a Very, very nice clip, because that courier had a fair bit on it. Now there's the turnaround. The three-man route comes through, and VG, they have to be careful. The boat flies in, but the stolen boat in return crashes straight on top of the Luna. That's 2 down on VG, and it may just be about to be 3.
Lanham finds him.
Oh.
How perfect is that?
What a turn of events. That courier indeed surviving and then setting up for the 3rd kill. As that play, I mean, you can't really blame VG for that one. They see the courier. Of course, you're going to try for it. It had loads of stuff on. You're going to try and make that attempt, but yeah, the quick reactions from Thunder there with that.
I actually can't believe they clipped that time.
That was literally someone was watching that. Yeah. Someone knew that was going to come through. There was a fair few off the map, so understandable they were expecting that sort of play. Up top, Yang is trying for the ult out of there, but the Eclipse is committed to make sure the damage comes through. And VG will be able to take down the Underlord. Things start to heat up a little bit. Well, VGJ.Thunder still with the slight lead. 2 cores keeping the advance, and Sylar starting to get. He's getting closer to a couple of thousand ahead of Paparazzi. Top lane again. Another attempt being made onto Young 11, but he has the backup of both Paparazzi and Fenrir. They're bringing in 4 though. Sylar ready to join the team. Some pressure up onto this top lane. Or he's going to be there on the Tinker, cleaning the way back out with the Archer machines, and suddenly the push is over. One of these things that Tinker is going to be very good at this stage, sort of pushing a stop to any sort of over-aggressive plays from VGJ.Thunder.
Soon we'll just get trading into these ultimates, you know, this Eclipse and this Ravage being down right now. Perhaps there's a chance for some aggression here on the Radiant side. Nighttime. It's going to be over there in 30 seconds though, and obviously again being a little bit underleveled. He doesn't quite have the ultimate yet, didn't want to take it at 6. He's almost 7, could consider it taking it now, as they are smoked up down there, but it doesn't look like they're going to find anyone worth killing.
Alsfade doing still pretty poor indeed on this Night Stalker, as you sort of said. It's just not been the sort of ideal game for a Night Stalker. There hasn't been those chances for him to go ham in the earlier nights, and it's keeping him sort of down on the poorer stages of the net worth graph with the 2 position 5s.
And he was picked so early too, so they didn't really pick anything to play with him. It doesn't feel like, you know, not necessarily any heroes. The Razor's pretty good. You know, he can play pretty aggressively as long as he gets ahead, and he's doing decently well. So maybe they can kind of make that work where they're diving in pretty deep and everything. But for the most part, it's just going to be that whole idea of having the superior vision during team fights. And if the game does go late, of course, Night Stalker can never really be a bad thing to have on your team, especially if you manage to get Aghanim Scepter or anything.
Yeah, especially in a game like this. It's already hard for VG to sort of make that initiation, because you are going to be relying in the late stages on sort of a Blink Ravage, but...
That's a good point too, yeah, because their initiation right now, in terms of, you basically have to Ravage. They don't have that, like, first hero.
They've got to Ravage, or they've got to get, like, an X mark set up. Yeah. So that's sort of the best way they can do it, yeah.
Yeah, the other best option is to somehow bait someone into a team fight. You can notice though, like, Radiant also still haven't committed to any sort of real big pushes. They got the tier 1 in the mid lane, but other than that, they haven't really tried like some 5-man movement to set up or anything. They seem very content with how this game's going. They're happy to trade farm in the way that VG Gaming are right now. And so both teams are just kind of saying, yeah, okay, well, we'll see you guys in like 10 minutes. You know, we'll try and duke it out from there, but for now, keep on your side. We'll keep on our side. And Ravage is back up, so maybe we'll see Vici try and make something happen here. A lot of green diamonds up there.
Yeah, they definitely need to. And as you sort of said earlier, if it does come down to the farming, there's going to be sort of the pressure on these 2 position 1s, and Sylar already, as we can see, is just being able to farm at just that bit of a quicker pace than Paparazzi, and VG indeed going for the play. They look up top, they look for Yang. Yang's going to go for the TP out. Eclipse is committed. Do they have enough damage? It's going to be close. They've got more than enough. What am I about? The Maledict was on him as well. He was surely going to pop. So they do bring down the Underlord, and they should find this tier 1 as well. Sylar heading forward, but they've got the wards, allowing Lanham to go in, get the X mark set up. Do they have the damage though without the Eclipse? And it's going to be unlikely. They put the Ravage, Cars comes out, slowing down with the VGJ.Thunder. They try for the reaction. Io with the stolen Ravage gets both of them, and now they're going to look to move forward onto the Tinker. The body blocks are there for Young 11, and in fact, they're the ones getting the kills themselves. They managed to take down Fade, but they have lost Fenrir themselves in response. But still, VG wants to be very happy with that. Kamet will also tick down. As Fenrir gets to kill the Maledict.
Way back there too.
And Sylar, actually, after losing 3 of his heroes, he comes back forward.
They were so low. I wouldn't have thought they were there.
I mean, I guess so, yeah. He's expected, and he is going to be fine, because Yang's back now. But, yeah, a bit of a ballsy farming there from Sylar.
You can see that hesitation too, because like you get this X on this Medusa, and you're like, okay, we really need to kill Medusa. That's honestly, that's what we kind of wanted with our smoke. You know, that would be the real dream if we killed that hero. But all we got was an Underlord. And this Medusa's sitting there, it's so tempting. You pop the Ravage, the Eclipse comes out, and then someone says back, and you're like, oh, but I just Ravaged, guys. Like, come on, surely we can get this kill. And in the end, it does not pay off for them too. Nah. But then again, I guess they got to.
I mean, they get the raise, but they do. Well, they lost the Witch Doctor themselves.
Still a net gain, I suppose. They have taken that lead that has been sitting on VGJ.Thunder's side for quite a while now.
Swing it back a little bit, but the game continues to be very, very close between these two sides. Illusion!
Nothing's really going to change a lot of this, too. I don't know. It'll just be like tower sieges, and even Roche is going to be kind of awkward. On one side, you have Ravage, obviously. Massive AoE, feels very good controlling around the Roche pit. It's been a big thing for Chinese teams, especially UB for a long time. That's kind of like been their bread and butter from KP. But whereas now VGJ.Thunder, you also have the Root from the Underlord, and then you have Medusa with the Stone Gaze. So huge ultimates, and like this massive AoE around the pit. It's going to get real messy.
On the main, Fenrir, go for the CP out, and he'll make it. Smart heads up play there from the Witch Doctor to escape. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see about the Roche, because the thing is, as you say, they've both got a relatively strong fight around the pit, but actually taking down Roshan quickly is not something that either of these teams do too well with their lineups.
No, not until we get into those crazy Medusa, Luna item stacks, but there is one thing though, that Tinker, he did not get punished very hard. They didn't get any big ganks in on him just because of like the relative unsuccessfulness of the Rubik and the Night Stalker early on, and now with that Blink Dagger, he does not feel like an easy hero for the VGJ.Thunder squad to grab onto.
No, absolutely not, yeah. They are going to have to use quite a heavy commitment to get the kill onto Ori at this stage. They weren't able to make those rotations earlier in the laning stage to hinder his item timings, and he's hitting them absolutely fine at the Tinker at the moment.
But in terms of counter Tinker, they do have the pipe first on the Underlord, so kind of the dream in terms of a hero that you want up against him, so it could give him an opportunity to at least siege through the March of the Machine. You can also see teams often using like the offensive glyph, possibly, just to protect your creeps, because that can just be the most frustrating thing when you're trying to get a high ground up against that, especially with the Luna, the glaives bouncing. Like, as long as you just need that one wave to get rid of the backdoor protection, it's always something to consider.
Here we go. Smoke up from VGJ.Thunder.
They definitely. VG know this is happening. Yeah.
And this is because they have Ravage and Eclipse. You've got to be careful how you go about this. They are going to commit onto the Tide. Tide forced away. Torrent holds back 2. Kama heading forward. Gets a decent static link. I'll say that's pretty good. He's still 154 damage, but the Maledict is on him. They will back away because I think VGJ.Thunder realize this is a very scary place to fight. They don't have they've got vision on the low ground, but they haven't got vision on the high ground. And VG themselves, they've got those big team fight ultimates. You have to be careful diving a lineup like that.
Yeah, very good read there. I love the way they have those 3 heroes just kind of hiding behind the trees. Like, all right, Tide, you first, buddy. Go see if there's anyone out there, would you?
I'm going to come back in. This time, Kumka sort of caught in the front lines. Cast comes out. He's going to commit with the bounce, though. And Fenrir will pay for his sins. Grab back. Slap down.
Good save career that time. Zap playing a one-shot there.
11's still sort of teasing around with this, but they do sort of need the full 5-man, yeah, especially with the fact that VGJ.Thunder, they are walking around as a complete unit.
It looks like that they got caught out because they were coming in to try and find D-wards from Vici, and then VGJ.Thunder, they actually missed it just barely. It's inside near some of their camps, and so without being able to find it there, they were just able to run in and easily kill support.
Right, up to the high ground again. There's a shrine here. It's a difficult place to fight, but they are going to try and commit with the BKB from Kama. They head in. I think it's going to get broken. They'll turn towards Paparazzi. Maledict is going to just get laid down onto the raise, but he still has the BKB rooted up. He didn't get the chance to Ravage as he walks back into his death. VGJ.Thunder sweep around to the mid. They'll take the tier 2 tower as well. So VGJ.Thunder getting away with a fight that certainly could have had the potential to be turned around, but the Tide unable to find an opening for the Ravage. That Razor BKB making the fight so much more smoother for VGJ.Thunder to take now.
It looks pretty awkward too. You're like running up into the enemy shrine. You don't want to really, like, it felt like a waste of the 10-second BKB because you're sitting next to your shrine. Like, what are the odds to get this kill? But he's still just, you can't Ravage, you know? He wants to kill this Razor so bad. He's like, no guys, I gotta wait out this 10-second BKB before I Ravage 4 other heroes, and the whole team just
look at this
can't fight
Joe.
that
As soon as he reveals himself down bottom, the team's going for him. They know the BKP is on cooldown. They're going to look for the setup, but they can't quite get it. Karma gets away, and that was, yeah, the full, well, 4 members of VG sweeping around trying to punish Karma for that. But they won't be able to quite get the catch. They do have the creep wave pushing in on the bottom tier 2. So if they do want to try and go for a push, they're still without their tide.
That was quite the maneuver to make without tide too. They just want that single pick off. They know that it's likely that VGJ.Thunder is going to kind of split up and farm. But this is a good setup.
And they'll move in onto this tier 2 tower. We'll see what sort of a defense comes through from VGJ.Thunder. Looks like they may try to want to hold Sylar and Io heading down, and already VG backing up and away from this, so they know that the movement's coming through. And so they realise that they're moving off the map. And 11 back to joining the squad.
That's definitely one problem with VGJ.Thunder's draft, I would say. They basically can only force fights by approaching structures or objectives or something. They don't really have any sort of good initiator at all. It's kind of the same on VG a little bit, but at least in terms of like siege defense for VG, you can see something like as simple as an X can just like guarantee a fight. Like you're forced to fight as if we're going to X one of your heroes without BKB. You're either going to sacrifice that person, or you're going to say, okay, we're going to commit for this. Whereas, not so hard for VG. There's no real catch on the side of VGJ.Thunder. It's like Night Stalker at best or something. You can get kind of these like single chains of pickoffs or something like that, but it's not too big of a deal.
Already getting very close to having the Aghanims on Tinker. Here's that setup that we talked about. They have the X mark. Into the Gush. Trying to bring Femra in as well for the Paralyzing Cast, but the roof's down.
Another X too, man. That catch.
See if they can follow this one through. I mean, with that hood, he's... Sorry, the pipe buff and the BKP that he's holding, it's a very hard kill to go for.
Yeah, and they don't have the vision there either, so it's like, I don't know if we can chase that guy any further. You know, he's going to take so much to bring down.
I guess at the least it's a bit of time where you're sort of keeping the Razor pressured, and you know that your carry Paparazzi is farming, so...
Yeah, you're kind of hoping that he might at least pop a BKB or something like, aha, nice.
That would be the dream.
We got him, guys.
These sort of little gains definitely making all the difference in a game that continues to be at this sort of a close position. 25 minutes in, 10-9, the 3K lead, pretty much entirely because of the fact that the Medusa's farming just that little bit better. Sylar ahead of Paparazzi.
Yeah, she's now sitting with the mask. She's got the Hurricane Pike. She has her Lincoln Sphere, and that's a great counter, of course, to this Kunkka.
Yeah, I mean, she is. Yeah, Sylar. He is going to be very hard to get taken down. They have to have, you know, full Eclipse and the Malady, then he's got a chance at popping. But if he's able to keep himself away from the fights where the Eclipse comes down, or at least on the edge of it, he's going to be one of the tankiest heroes in this game.
Push down.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that, good luck killing him twice. This Medusa definitely getting to scary stage, and he realizes that as well. You know, he's queuing up the MKB now, going for that offensive item, as you said, with the Lincoln Sphere and the Hurricane Pike. He knows that he's going to be very durable, especially with the auras as well, from the Underlord carrying the pipe and such.
Yeah, at least in this game he does have the Lucent Beam to help him out, so you can try and pop the Lincolns with that and then maybe get an X on from there, but even Lucent Beam isn't like the biggest range, you know, it doesn't quite match up with how far the X is, and that's really the only other ability that's going to be able to let them do that. I was supposed to laser him too, but then you have to waste laser. But anyway, you're a Tinker, you know. That ultimate's pretty good. I think he's got a few of those in the tank, so. Oh, top average Ancients, yeah. Fair enough. TA, Medusa, Sven, Luna, Troll. Not too shocking.
No, nothing too surprising there. Maybe surprised that TA's a little, quite a bit higher, 24.5 against 21.
I think it's because she's just like, she's so reliant on that burst, you know? It's just like, I gotta get so farmed so fast to be relevant this game. Medusa players, they're a little more laid back.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, if you're playing a TA at a high level, you have to utilize the Ancients, otherwise that hero is just very hard to stay relevant. You've got to keep ahead on that. And with Medusa, there's many ways to sort of play elsewhere across the map.
This is great though, they're pressuring with the Aegis, they get themselves a tier 1, not the best goal, but they can keep on pressuring. I mean, that was only 3 heroes, looks like a 4th one snuck in there too as well, but you have Razor just parked up in the top lane, ready for some sort of response, but there is good vision from VG, so they can still see those heroes are all down bottom from that high ward, so Paparazzi feels safe enough to just kind of chill this tower.
Sylar's just seen level 20, the magic moment on the Medusa, where you get that incredible 800 mana increase. Tankiness continues. Push forward onto the tier 2. They're actually going to TP back and look to defend their own, as they will be able to, as they ult in with Yang and put a stop to the push. And able able to get the deny. So it's just limiting more and more of VG Gaming's own potential resources on the map, and VGJ.Thunder maintaining this slight but ever-increasing lead as it now heads up to 6K, just 28 minutes in. So definitely starting to really wonder how Vici Gaming are going to plan to deal with this Medusa. It's getting a little bit out of hand, I feel.
Yeah, now they're just trying to get that mid and top lane kind of meeting up at the same time, get it pushing in towards the mid, make sure like someone has to deal with that, and then we can try and use that Aegis to get that last tier 2 on the outside. And no real pressure to rush anything here for VGJ.Thunder. Don't necessarily have to go high ground quite yet. And Tinker, he is starting to get pretty scary. Of course, he is the Aghanim Scepter, he is the Aether Lens, so he's got that big burst damage, and he's looking towards that Scythe next. Yeah. To certainly help turn the tides there against that Razor.
There's a mid. Come up, Manfade trying to head forward again. The X marks there, going to need a BKB from Karma to make sure that VG don't have the lockdown. Sort of prying and poking there at the lineup. They'll back off, or he turns up, clears out the way with the marching machines, and VGJ.Thunder will back away. Aya just hold back Young 11. Look at this position though, they are going to try and see if they can get any sort of a catch here, but as we said, they do relatively, they lack a lot of that potential to sort of disable from a distance without that Kunkka being on the front lines there in that position. They can't quite punish VGJ.Thunder at all for coming across that area in the map. Top lane, Karma in with a push. Well, he's going to be immediately there. We'll look to slow that one down again, but Sylar ready on the sidelines. He's more than happy to tank up the tower and start to continue applying a pressure to that tier 2. Same time, VG, they will look for a trade of their own as they come in onto the bottom lane. We'll take a tier 2, and again the trades continue. Yeah, I mean, tower for a tower.
If you're against Aegis, that's definitely a win for VG, but they still have that problem. It is now approaching the doorstep. It's finally time. How much can VGJ.Thunder and mostly Sylar get done here on that high ground?
Communications come out from Vici Gaming. VGJ.Thunder, as you say, more than happy to stick outside of the base. There's going to be very little reason for them to back up, unless they want to play super safe, unless we've seen both of these teams keeping it pretty secure.
VG are doing a good job though. They've got the pressure from the Luna down bottom, so that forces the Razor back. He doesn't have any bots or anything, so he can't reappear up in the top lane, and so that will stop that push there. And I believe that means the end of our Aegis here soon, about 20 more seconds, so likely the last super safe push for VGJ.Thunder.
A bit of an interesting one there as well. The Blink Dagger on the Razor. What's the plan with this? Are you looking to get on top of a certain hero at the start of the fight?
Yeah, I could see him just playing super aggressive with BKB, trying to find under the Luna is obviously fine, but maybe even just the Tidehunter, right? If you can force him to blow that Ravage, as well as just kind of disrupt, because the high ground looks very safe from VG. They just want to sit way back. They want this Kunkka doing his thing, Tinker doing his thing. Luna doesn't really want to commit into anything, and Tidehunter's just waiting to do his play. So if you have something like the Razor just like disrupt that, then they kind of have to collapse. They have to fold, and that's when maybe you can even start pushing like a little bit further onto high ground from the rest of Thunder. You know, Underlord gets in there. He's got that pipe to help people out, and Razor just wants to kind of take away what this draft is supposed to do on the high ground with that Blink Dagger.
And that's it's certainly going to make things tricky further on 11. As we've seen already, it's just such a hard game to do anything monumental with the Ravage. I'm going to head forward. He does, of course, with the Blink and Force. He's got a fair bit of positioning to get himself in prime position, but quick reactions from VGJ.Thunder could still put an end to the potential of a good Ravage at this stage of the game.
They have a lot of vision here too with this smoke. Like they see up inside the base, they see in that mid lane, so they have a pretty good idea as to where the Dire Heroes are moving. And if they spot these guys down low ground, they have a ward there.
Paparazzi's on the back. They're going to be able to sort of push him out to the side. He will force himself up to the high ground, route out onto 2. Vici will be fine. Head back up to their base just in time as the sweep crew comes in.
There's so many offlaners that you could have done something there, you know? Like, that's crazy good vision. He saw exactly where they were. You're smoked up, they don't know, and you're like, oh, well, I guess they're just gonna force Steph away. They really are lacking on that aspect for VGJ.Thunder. It hasn't been a big problem, but...
And that's why we just don't see
it's only 10 to 9, right? Like
10 to 9, 32 minutes
You're up 7K and you can't kill someone with a 5-man smoke gank.
Nah.
But everything else is working for him.
Yeah, they do still have this lead. Still yet to see Paparazzi be able to close that gap between himself and Sylar. MKB finished. Butterfly is going to be the next item of choice, of course, for Paparazzi. 2700 towards the Eagle Song. VGJ.Thunder once again pushing out mid. Getting elsewhere. Karma's been left behind though. Does have to be careful, but again, there's the attempt coming to an end. Jump forward with the gush, immediate BKB from Razor, and he's out of there. And again, these waters, there's sort of slightly peculiar positions that VG are going to be very unlikely to de-ward, giving VGJ.Thunder this very, very important information. Their smoke up, I believe it was slightly clipped by that ward, so again, Thunder should be expecting this. Fade actually with the Invis rune, he's going to see it firsthand for himself as he heads across, and they are not prepared for the Invis Night Stalker, as it seems, as sort of detection being laid down. The smoke comes to an end. VG, they are just really struggling to sort of kick fights off on their own terms.
Yeah, and it feels like this is such an important time in the game for them to do it. You know, before the next Aegis spawn, if they don't kill someone at least before this, they need to win that Aegis fight. They need to grab that thing, because one more Aegis on Medusa, they just cleaned up your entire outside map of towers with one Aegis. It's pretty likely they're going to get a high ground one with your next one, even with the amazing high ground that you have.
And they do pretty much have the gold for the Cypher Vice on Ori's Tinker, so maybe with some clutch commitments from him, they can sort of have that potential to start things off. But again, it's risky, especially if you're relying on your Tinker to be the initiator with the Hex. He's got to be sure that there's not backup, because there's a lot of ways that Thunder can quickly react to any sort of play.
They already see it coming too. Like Underlord's starting to build up into that Lotus Orb. It doesn't take off the Hex anymore, but it still stops the chain Hex.
No, and yeah, absolutely. And it sort of messes with the Tinker in the sense that he's got to be careful how he commits. If that Lotus Orb gets laid down a little quicker than his own Hex, and he'll end up putting his own self in a bit of a disastrous position. Here we go though, VG.
Feels like they're finally crossing the river, you know? It's been a while.
It's been all over there, half of the map. Since the landing stage, it feels like it has. And as you say, it's an important time around the Roshan, trying to make sure there's not going to be another easy one for VGJ.Thunder, because last time Thunder got away with it for absolutely three.
And we finally have the blink on the Rubik. I mean, that's the best catch they've had this whole game, honestly. So, able to have that now, there's a chance that OP might play just a little bit more cautiously. But with him being like, he's not even in the side lanes that often, just with like the way the pushes are going, so the Tinker wards aren't necessarily going to enable Rubik all too much in this game. Looks like they're marching up mid though, just playing it extra safe.
BKB completed for Paparazzi, so himself will be able to sort of commit on the front lines a little bit heavier and try and find that prime position for the Eclipse to get the most of the work done. Moving forward, trying to slow onto Young 11, X-Mark to hold back Yang. Torrent follow through, bring Yang down a little bit, but it'll be forced back. Rockets fly in, but the Greaves are popped. Yang still looking pretty healthy and will be fine. VG again struggling, as there's just so many tanky heroes in this game, especially on the lineup of VGJ.Thunder. Where's the easy kill? It is the Rubik potentially, but with that blink, as you say, he himself a little bit more elusive. It's so hard for VG to start the fight off with a kill. They'll go and commit with the Hex though. This could spell a bit of a difference. Jump forward from Young 11, does get a Ravage onto 4. Boat coming through will take down Yang. So VG able to get one kill. Commit from Paparazzi with a BKB, but side on the high ground. Turns around, BKB from Karma as they head straight forward. Look for Young 11, gets a decent static link, but the force is there to break it. Turns his attention towards Paparazzi, that's the bigger kill. Luna's down, Young 11 coming back through. The Torrent from 2, front land on the cast as well. Bouncing between, Maledict's on Fade. He's going to be ticking down low. The rocket should finish him off as Fade is down. 2 gone on VGJ.Thunder. They will be forced away. VG losing the Luna, but able to make quite an impact back onto VGJ.Thunder. So their lineup for the first time this game, as they do manage to close that lead that Thunder had just a little bit off the back of that.
Yeah, and they were already starting to whittle it down too, just because of the way that VGJ.Thunder are starting to play safe. They're feeling scared of that site. They don't want to lose any sort of advantage right now, because they just know that as long as we get this next Roche, it's going to feel so good for us. But they lose that engagement. Tinker finally comes online, and you have a Tinker and a Luna who are playing a lot more free. They know the catch is so weak on VGJ.Thunder that they're in more precarious spots than you might usually expect, but it doesn't matter. They don't have any good ways of catching them. Luna's very quick, she just runs away, and they have taken a little bit of an advantage here as the Roshan has respawned, but I don't think either team has checked it out quite yet. But we do have some pretty decent vision around the pit right now from both squads.
I think that's the thing, yeah, the really nice play from Rory there, that fight with the Hex. It made absolutely the whole difference. The fact that they do now have on VG the sort of instant setup to then get the follow through. You know, once you get someone a Hex, there's going to be a Torrent, a Cask, a Ravage flying in. Lots of ways to sort of chain lock down multiple members of VGJ.Thunder. Indeed was what allowed them to get the kills, especially with Thunder finding around that awkward position around these steps where it's very tight. They were getting caught out a couple at a time by the time.
Yang wants to wrap. He keeps drawing there up on the map. You know, he wants to go all the way around, but
it looks like his team's ignoring him.
Yeah.
They're like, we're staying here on the front lines. So Siler getting a bit of a beating. Paparazzi forces him back. Torrent from Lanham Connect. They put the Hex down. On to Yang. We to Greaves back up. VGJ.Thunder maintaining this position around the pit. They'll lead it onto Young 11. Roots down onto 2. Quickly cracking off. They'll jump forward with the blink of the BKB. Karma looking to commit. He has the Storm as well. Chasing down Paparazzi. BKB's pop with the physical. Maybe too much. Paparazzi's getting blocked up. There's no way to get around of this. And that's going to be the Luna down for 75 seconds. VGJ.Thunder turn for a second. Take down Witch Doctor. They're thinking about diving, but the Hex is out onto Karma. He'll back away. Glimmer caped up. Gets back to safety. 2 kills there for VGJ.Thunder. And it is, as we talked about earlier, that sort of that blink committal from Karma that causes chaos for VG. If he
and
gets
with that
himself on top of
BKB,
them,
they can't do anything. Like, he just walks on her. Like, she tries to BKB, doesn't do anything. She's just like, well, at least I can stop some other spells or something.
they don't have buyback here, so this could at the least be a set of racks. We'll see how well the Tinker and such can hold. So Oriel will do his best. To one of the better high ground defenses. Sort of heroes to do on their own, the Tinker, and it will prove to be strong enough.
Yeah.
They are going to respect that fact and will head back. Maybe as soon as they realise that there's no sort of buyback coming out for the Luna, they know that the Roshan is there. So VGJ.Thunder will opt to go for that objective instead. So if VG do have the chance to contest it, they are going to have Luna back up in 20. Thunder are taking the Roast down pretty quickly. There is a Ravage. They may be able to do something. If they can get the timing right here, Roots out though, is very hard for Young 11 to get in, and VGJ.Thunder will get away with Roche without any sort of qualms. They'll get the Roche out, they'll get the Aegis onto Sylar. VG, to be careful. Jump forward from Io, he's got the telekinesis, able to catch Ori. That's a big catch to find indeed. Tinker down for 75 seconds. Fenrir once again will be the dessert as he's caught out on the side.
Oh, this is
down
practically a guaranteed buyback.
Yeah, 12k lead, and with the Aegis, it's getting very scary for Vici Gaming. They have to have this strong defense once again. Got the stolen march of Machines himself. Robot on robot and action. Go on to the tower. Have the root down. Paparazzi to get out of range of Sylar, but the Rex won't be quite as fortunate. They start to take quite a bit of damage. Hex is there though. Young 11 coming in with the 4-man Ravage, allowing them to bring down Yang. BKB's popped by Paparazzi. Sylar is very low. Can they pop that Aegis? Doesn't look like they can. Vici will back up. They'll almost certainly be happy with that. They would love for a little bit more. They're looking towards Sylar. Could get rid of that Aegis. It would be nice. But that now almost certainly is enough. They committed a buyback on the Tinker, but they do hold the racks. They get a kill onto the Underlord. And yeah, the rack staying alive at this stage of the game, that's all that Tinker needs to ensure happens. Keeping that high ground push that Thunder are attempting harder and harder.
It's kind of crazy how much one kill had an impact in this game, because when they first had that big fight in the mid lane with the Scythe and they killed the Underlord, he was really close to his Lotus Orb. And then again, he gets like targeted in the next fight and he dies and he still can't get his Lotus Orb. And then again, pushing high ground, they still don't have it. And like being able to remove the blind from the Medusa and being able to just stop those chain hexes from coming out as well, all this kind of stuff, they surely would have got tier 3 the first time they went. And they probably could have had Rax this time if he was able to get that. But just because he's been delayed a little bit, it's slowing down the possibilities here from VGJ.Thunder. VG able to once again cross the river, but keeping their racks very important. Still feels like, of course, that VGJ.Thunder in a much better spot this game.
They just have a very sizable lead.
3 minutes left on that Aegis, and well, Sylar has certain ideas for it. He has queued up the Rapier. If he'll go for it, we'll see. I mean, if he still has the Aegis and time,
I don't think he necessarily needs to, but like they could still certainly win this game without a Rapier, but it could be a very long game. Like with this, if they can win one more fight, the game could just be over. But having so that incredible power spike that we're already seeing, they are struggling to bring down this Medusa, so why not? You've only died once this game, as you say, you've still got a decent amount of time with the Aegis. Go for it. So I'm looking forward to seeing Sylar pick up. I mean, I've not been able to see the other yet, but I imagine this is going to be the first Rapier of this event, so always nice to see. But Rapier Gaming will begin. And VG, good luck with this Dusa. And so VGJ.Thunder will almost certainly want to try and force the issue and get at least a Rax again before that Aegis is gone.
I do not want to be a Luna anywhere near a Rapier Medusa. You know, your attack range isn't that long. You're stuck in there, kind of in the pit of things, along with the Snake Lady.
Oh boy,
no, thank you.
The ping came out from Femrit onto the Dusa, saying that man has got.
Dude, he's been working on that veil for like 20 minutes. Witch Doctor has his veil, guys. Game is won.
I don't think I've seen that Witch Doctor build before.
That's certainly a new one. We'll call that the value, I think. You know, double null for 25, 40 minutes.
It's every little else, especially when you've got this Tinker throwing out a large amount of magical damage. It all adds up. But there's a Rapier. VGJ.Thunder. Sort of seeing if they can catch anyone out as potentially in the basement, keep themselves playing safe. Thunder, they realise they've got ahead and they've got to take the fight sort of on their own. Vici more straight in, looking for Femrit, and Femrit doesn't stand a chance against this Rapier Medusa. That's the Witch Doctor gone for 50 seconds. The boat flies through for the control. They have got the Hex onto Sylar. They still have the Aegis at the moment, bring them down. About half health. The spams continue. 3KB and Blink committed for Karma as he jumps forward onto Paparazzi. The forces are there, they're breaking the link. Young 11 jumps in, gets the Ravage onto 3. Can they bring this man down even once though? No, it doesn't look like they can. Sylar just stands his ground, pummels into Paparazzi. Even with the BKB and Eclipse, he has to back away. Too much physical damage for Sylar. Ori coming back forward with the Hex. The Glimmer Cape's there from Thunder, keeping Sylar alive. Turns back in. The Lincoln's protecting himself. The Young 11 coming through. Can they kill him? What's he so low? Can they kill Sylar even more? They can't. He just turns and kills them. 3 dead. Buyback from the Kunkka. They're going to have to buy back on the Luna. It's falling apart. This decision, this timing of getting the Rapier is doing so much. They have lost Karma though. And now Thunder, they'll play it safe. As soon as one's gone, they say we're out of there. But the X mark comes through. Yang will be dragged back after delivering his team back to safety. Does go for the TP play. They've not got anywhere to cancel it. He still gets out of there nonetheless. Yeah. Rubik will tick down to the Maledicts as it seems in the base, but
if only they could have found a way. I'm guessing the Lincolns was up, or he at least thought the Lincolns was up.
If they could drag back the Dusa.
Yeah, I mean that would be the dream, right? That's such a risky play.
Would have been.
But clearly they couldn't get through the Lincolns or anything.
I guess so. I'm sure it must have been.
But I mean that would have been like straight up a double, and then you just get yourself a Rapier.
But I like this for Sylar. You know, I can feel it. You know, this game it's been a bit of a slow pace. You know, he was done with that. He wanted to get stuff done. Gets the Rapier, and perfect timing as well with that Aegis, which has now gone. They were able to get so much. They get the mid-melee racks. They get a few buybacks out as well from VG Gaming. VG Gaming quick to try and strike back though. They know that the Aegis isn't there. They're smoked up. Can this really catch Thunder off guard?
They're so ready for this aggressive
It's hard,
play.
It's not, and they don't quite have the full vision knowing they know that the wave's coming out. Are they going to be able to read? They now see Sylar. There's 2 heroes down on Thunder. This would be huge. Can they get away with this kill? They move in. They're able to break the Lincoln for the Lotus Storm. The Stone Gate comes out. Paparazzi has to force himself away, but the force on Sylar trying to close the gap. Not enough to slow down Paparazzi. Paparazzi will be fine. Jump forward, back again. Or he comes in with a Hex. Do they have the damage though? They're struggling to control Sylar enough to get anything done to him. So Medusa will be fine. They'll get a tier 2 at the least. But again, they desperately want this Medusa. If they can take it, if they can get the Rapier on Paparazzi, you know, buildings are going to die. But it's such a hard ordeal, and VGJ.Thunder.
It's like it's nice, like we got a tier 2, but obviously, as you said, they just wanted that Rapier so bad. Killed that Medusa.
I mean, he's queuing up a Satanic. Once he has that, I don't know how they can bring him down. It literally probably has to be one of those plays that we were talking about with the Underlord, and him being dragged back on his own is sort of the only way that VG can go around killing him at this stage. They can't deal with him, or they can barely deal with him on his own, but let alone when he has teammates behind him. It's just impossible at this stage, and that is the Satanic. Sylar, I mean, as we saw, the 3rd highest in terms of games played on the hero this patch, and he's playing it pretty flawlessly this game. 4-1-10, and his iron build at peak perfection.
Speaking of item builds, the Scythe picked up by the Razor, good choice when he has the Blink and the BKB.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen already how much he can do. He dies a couple of times, but he always gets the job done, coming with that sort of commitment at the beginning of the fight. VG in a bit of an awkward position here.
They're getting pushed apart, a little bit of split here.
Got to be very careful how this fight is.
Paparazzi's out. He's bailing. Good luck, guys.
They will grab the tide to move forward. Root out onto 2. This is looking pretty risky for VG. BKB will be popped with Karma. The head forward. Fenrir turns to the paralyzing cast. And Fenrir will pay with his life. Maybe worth it if they can get the rest out of there. But they're turning. Young 11, he commits with the BKB. They have the axe on Luna. It's a lot of damage with the Eclipse. The boat flies through. They're taking down the Ruben. They're taking down the Night Stalker. Torn for Lado. Catching up to 2. Paparazzi committing with the BKB, but Sylar turns. He'll be able to force them back with this snipe. But the Hex comes through. He's been picked up for once. Yang falling very, very low on the sidelines. Though Karma, he's back in. They've managed to take down Tinker. They've managed to find Luna. It's an ultra kill for Sylar. Young 11 in the tree line. Will he get himself out of there? He won't. GG will be called, but the rampage is there for Sylar as he ends the game. Godlike on his Medusa. 9-1 for 10. GG. VGJ.Thunder looking very strong that game, and Sylar's Medusa, as I said earlier, he just did everything perfectly.
Yeah, what an odd game to have such a lack of initiation. An entire 10-man draft is pretty unusual for Dota, and you could see it in how the way the game just kind of played out, you know? Everyone was just kind of like, it was like they were waiting their turn or something. It's like, oh, is it our turn to start a team fight? I guess according to the rules of how the game works, we are now supposed to approach a tower